Many thanks, sir. Very good morning, everyone. My name is Puneet. I am the application scientist here at Thermo Scientific. And today I'm going to be taking you through to some of the flow cytometry solutions available from Thermo Scientific. We'll majorly be focusing on our acoustic focusing image flow cytometer, our imaging flow cytometer, and the next generation Bigfoot spectral cell sorter. Uh, Moving on. So starting on, Thermo has been at the forefront of developing new age technologies, next generation technologies, especially when it comes to deviating from the usual aura of what flow cytometry is all about. We've had a history of developing different kinds of technologies, and I'm going to be talking about some of these new age technologies that we brought up. We came up with the acoustic focusing flow cytometry that actually deviated from the conventional hydrostatic focusing fluidics technology that you have in your conventional flow cytometer that you would have heard Dr. Heyman talk about earlier. And what's more, we even went one step further to provide the concept of imaging flow cytometry also to be developed within a regular flow cytometer. So what is acoustic flow cytometry? Unlike a traditional flow cytometer, you see this is a very small but efficient kind of a instrument. Everything is contained within a small footprint. All the liquids, everything is contained in a small amount of space, and you get a large amount of bang for your buck, basically. So you can run your sample at very fast flow speeds. Once again, a very useful feature for the researcher. You have several utilities that were not commonly very available to researchers using a conventional flow cytometers. Things like the systems used to get clogged, the alignment used to be an issue, or the fact that you could potentially run samples at very fast speeds. So without disturbing your CVs, you could actually run even very dilute samples. So you could run it for in a very quick span of time. So talking about what acoustic focusing technology is all about. So Thermo basically moved into this step where instead of just the conventional hydrostatic focusing technology with respect to the fluidics, there was a operation of the instrument in such a way that some kind of sound waves were applied to these cells moving in the fluidics, which resulted in these cells aligning up in a very tight stream. So it's not that we were saying that it's a new age technology, it should be implemented in isolation. We came up with a solution such that the same system could use both hydrostatic focusing as well as acoustic focusing in the same platform, so that we could actually get very clear, stable fluidics, operation of the instrument, such that the cells were flowing in a very neat, clean line, and we could maintain the fluidics path over a long period of time. To show you what the fluidics line looks like, this is what it looks like while hydrostatic focusing is occurring. You can actually see the cells are being distributed everywhere. The moment acoustic focusing comes into play, all the cells line up in a very quick, neat single stream of cells. Now, what is the advantage that it gives you really is, if you can make the cells line up very, very quickly, you can potentially run the cells at any different flow speed. You can run it at as little as 12.5 microliter per minute or going all the way up to 1 ml per minute and still not be able to disturb your CVs. You could get high quality data even while running your samples at up to 1 ml per minute. So going against the conventional norm of flow cytometry, where people used to say that, make your stains or make your sample in 100 microliter of samples and have it ultra concentrated and run it at the lowest speed possible. We made it possible for the users to be able to make dilute solutions or run a large volume of sample in a fast speed and still be able to maintain the high CV of the population. What kind of applications this can potentially entail? Of course, things like, rare event detection. Anytime you want to acquire data from a large amount of objects where your actual event population is going to be a very small number, you have to record a large amount of data, millions and millions of events. You may potentially want to run, let's say, for example, if you want to run directly something from whole blood, you may not have a need to separate out different components of blood. You can take whole blood and run it as whole sample and still be able to work through your entire sample set. What we also did was minimize the storage space of what everything was. These are standard fluidics tanks that fit inside the instrument. What's more, the consumption has been limited to a fairly low amount. What we also have, just like you have, kind of like a reserve tank in a motorcycle, we have a reserve tank for a sheath fluid tank. So in a non-pressurized system, you can change the sheath fluid, you can add more sheath fluid even while an experiment is running, because the reserve tank can actually take up some of the sheath fluid duties. Uh, we have introduced a sample syringe-based, non-pressure-based system. So the idea here being a syringe is what empties your sample into the fluid cell, flow cell. You get the advantage of getting your unused sample back, especially useful for clinical applications where you may want to use that same sample for different kinds of applications downstream, not just being running internal flow cytometer, potentially doing NGS or any other downstream applications with it. What was also very unique, unlike traditional flow cytometers, which were all pressure-based systems, the pressure was a fixed component. So anytime you had a clog inside the fluidic cell line, the system was always trying to clear that clog at the same pressure. Whereas in our system, we are actually trying to maintain a defined flow rate, which is where the system automatically adjusts the pressure to try and clear the clog out. So essentially what happens up is, if you've specified the system to flow at, let's say, 500 microliter per minute, the system will automatically increase the pressure such that it can maintain that flow rate of 500 microliters per minute, essentially giving you clog-free or clog-resistance performance. So a lot of our users, especially people who are working in the oncology field, take up tumor samples, they just chop it up, and they are ready to run it in the flow cytometer without ever risking, if there is not a single cell suspension, it might clog the fluidic cell. The software was completely redesigned, and we are continuously working on it. The idea being, it's a very easy to use software. All the controls, all the options are very neatly defined on the software package. And this is something we'll also showcase during our sessions over at BBAU and CDRI. All the functions or the critical functions with respect to the instrument operation are all pre-made into pre-made scripts and integrated into the software. So you can, at the click of a mouse, be defining what the instrument is supposed to be doing. And then, of course, several other features of the software, useful features that we can probably talk about later on. But what next? So it was not just about defining what or how can a flow cytometer run at fast speed or using less fluid or be clog resistance. We actually went one step further and introduced a new age flow cytometer that had the ability to not just do regular flow cytometry, but even do imaging into the same flow cytometer. So essentially, all the features that you have with your acoustic flow cytometers plus bright field imaging inbuilt into the flow cytometer. There was an additional laser that was added, an additional camera setup that was added, all working in tandem with the conventional flow cytometry portfolio or the conventional flow cytometry setup. Now, what was unique about this whole kind of a setup was there had been imaging flow cytometers that had previously been developed. But as you can imagine, one of the big catches of those flow cytometers was because they were running with hydrostatic focusing, the images were a little bouncy. They were appearing in one plane of focus or in a different plane of focus. Sometimes they would be completely out of focus. Because we were using acoustic focusing, we could actually get high resolution images of the object at every point of time. And this just shows you the huge range of applications that we've actually used these flow cytometers now for across the world. People have used it not just for your regular, hematological applications, but even for things like marine biology applications, your yeast applications, your food biology applications. Literally any n number of applications that people have used these systems for, different kinds of morphology changes that can be detected using these platforms, all in an automated fashion. So most flow cytometrists are usually not very accustomed to modifying the imagery or, for example, defining what is a positive object here, where are the boundaries of those positive objects, or what should be the threshold that identifies that particular object. All those imagery capabilities of the system are all inbuilt into an AI-enabled software that does it automatically for you. So while you are running the sample, the system can automatically be acquiring all of these images. It can quantify the morphological different parameters and be able to, it gives you the ability to draw graphs with respect to all those morphological parameters. Now, when this project actually started off, the idea was to give you additional information from just what was just, fluorescence intensity based information that any flow cytometer was anyway giving. And so the idea was more of giving you, visual representation of what is exactly those dots that you are looking at. You could always click on the dots and see what the cells were, click on the cells, see what those dots were. But that was literally just the tip of the iceberg, because we are not just trying to see what we are actually recording. We could, of course, differentiate things like what is a singlet versus what is a doublet, even without drawing a singlet gate. But what if we could actually derive more information from a flow cytometry experiment that could give us more meaningful applications? Now, this is where the idea of developing image-based analysis pipelines jumped up. And Thermo actually went into, they already had a rich history of imaging capabilities of instruments. They jumped into image-based analysis pipeline. So we developed an AI-based software that could actually segment out these different objects, whatever it was that we were running. And you could derive almost 26 different parameters about these objects that you could then plot as graphs. So in a stain-free fashion, it gave you the ability to quantify different kinds of objects. Just to give you a rough example, we've actually done several demos, things like something like cell cycle application. You've already seen G1S, G2M being separated on the basis of intensities. Is there a way to be able to demarcate G1S or G2M only on the basis of imagery, that too in a stain-free fashion? These kinds of applications, these kinds of questions is what you can actually think about. And we've done several different kinds of activation experiments. So if you think of something like T-cell activation experiment, cytokine signaling, it's traditionally been intensity of a particular marker-based experiment. Can you detect T-cell activation solely on the basis of stain-free fashion with or without activation? So these kinds of questions is what globally we've been answering through different labs. And the idea is the system automatically identifies these objects. You have an untreated or a treated or a unactivated versus an activated biology. The system automatically calculates up to 26 different parameters, and then you can use those parameters to demarcate different kinds of populations, only on the basis of morphology, only on the basis of stain-free fashion. So this is kind of like a new age image-based analysis in a flow cytometer. Of course, in addition to the conventional flow cytometry, intensity-based information that you are anyway getting. So things like undifferentiated versus differentiated cells, or for that matter, with respect to CAR T therapy, cells that are bound to beads versus cells that are not bound to beads. Lastly, I would like to quickly take last part of my session talking about the high performance spectral cell sorter, the Bigfoot spectral cell sorter that we brought. Several unique capabilities of the system. I'll not spend too much time here. I think it would be easier for you to just demonstrate to you the software, the video part. But the idea is this is one of the new age kind of sorters that can actually do both your spectral as well as traditional compensation based sorting. Comes in a host of different configurations, up to 9 lasers, up to 60 detectors. It can do real-time spectral unmixing. It has abilities to do up to 6-way sorting in tubes and up to 18-way virtual sorting. Very fast system. It can sort into a 96-well plate in as little as 12 seconds. Several other unique capabilities. Comes with an integrated Blast 2 biosafety cabinet. And let me just quickly play this video that will talk more about it. Their audio. Nevertheless, I think I'll just play it over here. The idea being
introducing the Invitrogen Bigfoot Spectral Cell Sorter with Sasquatch software, offering sorting,
of more than one thing. It's
higher throughput,
instrument,
and integrated biosafety, all while being easy to use.
1536 well plate. There is cooling options both at the sample as well as the output level.
Sorting real-time, spectrally unmixed samples allows higher parameter panels. The Experiment Wizard assists the user in running controls, identifying potential issues, and applying the unmixing algorithms to produce high-quality data. The Bigfoot Spectral Cell Sorter can be configured with up to 9 lasers and 60 detectors, providing the versatility for both compensation and spectral unmixing. The multiple scatter options offer high flexibility with simultaneous standard, small particle, multi-laser scatter detection and polarization options. By utilizing the massively parallel pipelined architecture, the system allows complex, high-parameter experiments with up to 60 by 60 compensation or spectral unmixing without limiting instrument performance. Multi-way plate sorting helps achieve maximal productivity. Configurable and quick, the high throughput of the Bigfoot spectral cell sorter is in a league of its own, up to 10 times faster than other cell sorters. The Bigfoot spectral cell sorter offers sort rates of more than 70,000 events per second and analysis rates of more than 100,000 events per second. With multi-way sorting into tubes with an easily configurable sort output tube holder. The sorting flexibility extends to multi-way sorting into 96 well plates, 384 well plates, and 10x genomic chips, as well as being capable of straight-down sorting into 1536 well plates. An integrated Class II biocontainment cabinet helps ensure the safety of users and samples. The system has been verified to be functionally equivalent to the personnel and product protection standards for a Class II Type A2 biosafety cabinet per International Standard 49. The Bigfoot Spectral Cell Sorter Class II biocontainment cabinet provides safety and protection without compromising high-parameter sorter performance or limiting serviceability. Advanced automation and intuitive software allow operators with all levels of knowledge to use and control the system with confidence. The software provides quick startup, auto-calibration, and accurate quality control, combined with an experiment designer and one-button shutdown, allowing the system to be easy to use while reducing downtime. We strive to bring superior performance, safety features, and ease of use into the Bigfoot Spectral Cell Sorter.
That was about Bigfoot. And last but not the least, we have also been making a lot of advancement in the reagent portfolio and the dice-based sections. We'll have a separate talk on this. I'll not spend much time on this, but we've developed new age dice that allow you to do more. And we have an entire reagent set portfolio of the reagents used in flow cytometry. Please feel free to stop by at our booth and we can talk more about that. For any questions, please feel free to stop by our booth. For shortage of time, I don't think we'll have too much time to talk about it.